Hello, this is Parzines for Mobile Desktop, and in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create the audio spectrum animation in Adobe After Effects. In this tutorial, we're going to be putting together this cool audio spectrum effect and this audio scaling effect, which I'm going to show you in a second. So you can see how the circles reacted to the music and the text reacts to the spoken word layer over here. We'll be using a cool effect, We'll be using a cool effect called Audio Spectrum for the circles in this section, and turning our other audio file into keyframes for our scaling effect. So you probably also noticed how the visuals were synced to the music. So knowing how to create an audio spectrum effect is useful for adding instant visual flair to any music-based project you might be doing. Think of music videos, short social media posts, anything that needs to catch the viewer's eye and related to the audio. The scaling technique is useful for automatically syncing up objects' movement, size, and other properties with audio clips. So the external assets we're using here are free-for-use audio files, one from YouTube's royalty-free stock files and another from sampleswap.com. We'll link the download locations in the video description below, but any audio file that you have on hand will work for this. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is let's load in the music file over here, and I'm going to drop it right here above the background. I'm going to right-click, rename it to music track. Now, the next thing that we're going to be doing, and let's head up to layer, new, solid. The reason being is we're going to be making that circle shape first. So it won't really matter what color we make it because we're going to be changing the color afterwards. So let's name this audio circle. Okay. And then let's get over to effects and presets. I'm going to push mine down a bit. And let's put in audio spectrum. There we go. So drag that onto audio circle. There we go. So as you can see, it's not a circle yet, but we're going to fix that in a moment. Afterwards, the next thing we do is let's head up to our shape tool over here. I'm going to access my ellipse tool by holding and waiting for the pop-up menu to appear. And we're going to be making a mask, and that mask is going to inform this layer what shape to take. So just click and drag a circle out. That's all we want. All right. So then we're going to be heading over to the effect controls on audio spectrum. All right, set audio layer to, sorry about that, music track. So when you set audio layer to music track over here, what's happening essentially is that the audio circle is taking its cues from this music track over here. You can see it, how it reacted to the music track. It's a little hard to see because it's small, but you can see how those lines will move in time with the music. And now we also want to change the shape. So we go over to path over here, and we tilt to use mask 1. There we go. It's a circle now. But we want this to be more visible, so let's change a couple more settings on this thing. First things first, let's change the thickness. I want this to be thicker, thicker, thicker. Let's put it at 15, I think. And let's change the colors. So by changing the colors, you just have to click on these colored boxes. I would like a cyan color and a green color, like a lime green color. Let's drag it down over there. And anything else? Well, that cyan inside color, I think, could be changed a bit. So let's grab these anchors and drag it over a bit. Now, I'm keeping these lines as they are, like these little lines. But if you wanted, you go down here to display options and you change digital to analog lines or analog dots. But I like the lines, so I'm going to keep them that way. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is just click and drag it. Sorry about that. We just want to click and drag this layer so it is around our text like that. And now we're going to copy it. So I have a PC, so I hit Control-D. If you have a Mac, that's Command-D. And I'm going to right-click, rename, and I want this to be smaller audio circle. This is just for visual interest. I'm going to hit S for scale, and I'm going to shrink it a bit. There we go. Move it over so it's, sorry about that, keep doing that. So it's centered within our larger circle. Now I'm gonna want to change the colors of this one. So I'm gonna hit that lime color over there. I'm gonna change it to green a little bit more. So maybe manipulate the colors as well, their position. There we go. So I'm gonna manipulate this a little bit more to be more centered, but that's the general idea. All right, and that's how we get that audio effect. Very cool. So let's head over to our project panel over here, and I am going to drop in this spoken word track over here. I'm gonna drag it below music track down here. I'm gonna bring back my playhead to the origin because you can see this spoken word track doesn't really extend as far out as the music track does. And I am actually gonna hit this speaker icon over here, and that'll mute it. Now, even though it's muted, well, here's what it sounds like. 1, 2, 3, 4. But even though it's muted, I'm still going to harness its properties for use within my project. I'm going to rename this spoken word track so I know where it is. And I'm going to right click and go to Keyframe Assistant, create audio for keyframes. And that will give me a new layer called Audio Amplitude up here. And this, let's open it up and open it up. And you see all of these little keyframes. That tracks the audio, the amplitude, how loud this track gets. Now, it provides us 3 channels, left channel, right channel, both channels. We don't need all the channels for what we're going to do, so I'm going to delete the top 2 over here. I'm going to recolor this so it doesn't get lost with the other layers. I'm going to make it pink. And I'm actually going to drag it down to be closer to the source where it comes from, the spoken word track over here. Sorry about that, I accidentally toggled off layer name. Now, the reason why we did this is because we're going to be attaching the size of the text directly to how loud the spoken word track gets. And we're going to be doing that by we're going to be pick whipping and parenting the scale of the text directly to this slider over here. And that way this text is going to be able to take its cues for its size from how loud this track gets. So check it out. Let's head over to text, hit S for scale, and let's put down a keyframe. And then we're going to do alt click onto the stopwatch, and you see this swirly over here? That's the pick whip. Grab it, drag it over to slider on audio amplitude. All right, and then let go. Now check this out. Now you can see that the text is reacting to the audio amplitude, but it's quite small. So we're just going to modify it a little bit. So you see all this text that popped up? This is an expression. So it's just a bit of code that's informing the layer of how to behave. So we're going to click on the text. I'm going to head to the end, and I'm going to do asterisk 10 or 10.5, and that's a multiplier. So that's telling the this layer, okay, whatever size you're going to be, do that size, but multiply it by this amount. So check it out. There we go. So you can attach different property values to the slider of any audio track using this technique. Both of these methods are great for cool music video effects or even spoken word poetry. If it's an audio file, it'll work in this kind of project. And the audio spectrum layer can also be modified with other gradients added, different visual effects placed on top, so it can carry a few effects of its own. In fact, it can also have its own scale pick whip to the same music track it's set to, so it's extra reactive to the music. So that's all for this tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed learning how to make this audio spectrum effect in Adobe After Effects. This has been Sapura Designs for Noble Desktop.